Monday, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, a very jingly, kiki, disembodied hands, Quindy, and disembodied beard, John. How are you all? Somebody wants scruffles. Somebody's sulking because it's work week again. It's a work day. Yeah, Kiki's like, what happened to the weekend? Yeah, Kiki, me too. Kodiak, thank you for the resub, 31 months. Kuranico, Getsay, quintuple subiversary, happy quintuple subiversary. Kiki's wagging, she likes it. Do you like the singing, Kikers? Do you like the singing? Yeah! Yeah! Oh wait, there's more. Wasn't there more? Nope, that was the last one. Sorry, I thought there was another sub. But that's fine. And I have to catch up to everybody. Yes, there we go. Guzzling. Kuro, did you miss my song? Wait, I have to type it. You can't hear me. And there's Zachariah. Oh, thank you, Michael, for resubbing your other account. Thank you very much. Yes, there's another. Awesome. Oh, okay, good. It's true, it's not a song. That's okay, we got our song for the day. Alrighty, I said I wanted to mix up skin tones again, lighten up his ears a little bit toward the top to bring in some of that fleshy color. We're still getting it here. We've glazed it out a bit up here. And I can still use that color if I want to highlight the mushrooms, although I might not. We might just kind of double down on the magma red down there. I might do a magma red plus ruddy leather, because remember, we don't want these to be too bright. If we make the mushrooms too saturated and too intense, they're going to pull attention from the all-important thing up here, Mr. Batling. So we don't want that to happen, so we're going to have to do some interesting color crap today. Alright, so first of all, let's mix up the skin tone color, which is volcanic orange plus white. And then that plus Osirian sand for our further highlight. Good, Kuro. Sweet. How many people do we have on stream? We probably should talk a little bit. Talk a little bit before I go running amok. Hi there, Kiki. Hi there. Yes, I know. It's very excite. It's so excite. Do you want to come up and say hi to the stream today? You can if you want. Nope. Just want pets. Okay. Your pets are fine, Keeks, but we gotta work. Work. It's work time. I have to stay on track today because I have to get a lot done today, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the day. I'm excited about life in general. Because my books are selling, guys. It is so much fun. Amok. So I started running Facebook ads on Thursday last week. And here, I'll show you guys. Like, first of all, this is the entire year and a half, right? The entire year and a half. You can see that right there. We went boom, and this is my sales rank. So it's essentially an indicator of sales numbers as well as KU borrows for books that applies to. So that's where we are right now. But then the magic happens when you start narrowing it down. Luke. So we go to 1 year, and then we go to 6 months. Yeah, see, 6 months, like we're definitely like doing. Now go to 1 month. Look at that, folks. Look at that. So that's the promos that I ran plus the Facebook ads that I ran right after. So quite the difference, yeah? Yeah, from rank 1 million-ish up to the upper. I haven't actually looked at what I am in categories. They say that Facebook, I mentioned this, I say that Facebook is the place to sell books as far as ads go. And I have to say, it do seem to be so. Hold on, let me go to my... and go look at East of the Sun and see what my categories are doing. Yep. Come on now. Don't be like that, Amazon. When I try to zoom in on you. So it's still on sale. So that's one reason it's going, is it's still on sale and has the nice little flag. We love the flag. And then, hey, and it's showing all 3 books now. But let's see what our categories are at. Okay. So we're actually in the top 20 of children's coming-of-age fantasy. And we're not doing bad in the other ones either. Although it's interesting that they've stuck me in Wizards and Witches because it used to be coming-of-age. But they probably are doing that because I can get a higher rank there. And technically, I guess it does have, it has magic, so. I'm not gonna be big and famous for a very long time. But it's very nice to see that Facebook is working. I hit over 100 book sales this month, guys, over the weekend. So right now we are sitting at, we actually have gone up a little bit more. So right now we are sitting at 108 books sold. And it looks like one Kindle Unlimited borrow because somebody's reading it. But yeah, so 91, what I really want to hit is 100 sales of East of the Sun this month. Yeah, because if I break it down, it's 91 East of the Sun, 10 West of the Moon, 7 Rite of Winter. So the read-through is where these ads are hopefully going to pay for themselves, right? So my goal is to sell 9 more East of the Suns before this sale drops off, or for the rest of the month, really, which I have, half the month left. But yeah, this is, I'd have to look at my records, Quindy, but I think this is actually, better than we actually did on launch. It's close. It's it may have actually exceeded launch in total numbers. And I'd have to go back and look at, I track everything, so I'd have to go back and look at my, my spreadsheet. Because I like data. Oh, my book is selling. I've sold over 100 copies, over 100 books this month, Kodiak, and we're closing in on over 100 copies of East of the Sun. I started running Facebook ads on Thursday. Yeah. So, and I'm only a baby at Facebook ads. I'm running the most basic little Facebook ad ever devised, really. I haven't even started playing with the more advanced crap. So it probably during the last day, or maybe, I don't know, David's and I's anniversary is on Wednesday. So maybe on Wednesday I'll set up a new campaign that I plan to run forever and see, or at least I'm going to, see how it works, see how it does. We're just mixing up skin tones. Remember, orange plus white equals skin tone. When you first start mixing white in, it looks like just orange. It looks like lightish orange. But if you keep going... Yeah, thanks, Big Apple. I think, I wanted to say this earlier, but I want to wait for a few more of you to get on first, but I really owe it to you guys. I seriously do. You could say, Anne, you spent 10 years writing those first 2 books, and you spent a year writing the 3rd one, and it's all you, it's all the effort. But it's not. It's because you guys left reviews. Without you, I would be sunk. I would be scrambling around, still waiting, probably still. Maybe I would have gotten over 10 reviews on East of the Sun at this point. Maybe. But nobody would read it because there'd be no reviews. When you go to, buy something, if it's only got 3 reviews, you're like, those are probably just company employees, right? So this is, double and triple for books. So if you guys go out there and you read books and you find an author you like that has lower reviews, leave a review. Even if it's just a star review, it matters so much, guys. If I didn't have those 33 reviews on East of the Sun, we would not be getting these results. And that is all you guys. I could do nothing about that. So, huge thank you to you guys in the community, because this would be not a thing without you. Cannot even emphasize how important you guys have been to me. All right? Super thumbs up. I'm starting to get teary-eyed, so I'm going to stop, gushing at you. But still, you deserve the gushing. Oh, I'm selling lots of books, Aspire. But I was saying that without everybody in this community, reading my book and liking it and leaving reviews, I would not be able to do this. Because without those reviews, no one will buy the book. No matter how good it is, doesn't matter. Oh, I went a little bit too heavy on the orange, guys. I gotta get over here and do it. No tears, we just want more books. All right, good. I love that. I love that sentiment. Don't worry, you're getting more books. I'm writing the cozy fantasy. Well, the progression fantasy. I don't know how cozy it's going to end up being. We'll find out. My books are pretty cozy, though. Like, all things considered, like, it's got some visceral in it, but it doesn't have, like, super nasty graphic violence, and it doesn't have, like, it doesn't have a lot of blood, gore, sex, and torture, right? It doesn't have that stuff that tends to run a book away from the cozy category. So I'd say my books are fairly cozy. I'd say the Bear Kings are fairly cozy. And I don't know this new one, Queenmaker 1. I don't have a title for it yet. I will soon. There we go. So I had to load a lot of white into there to get a skin tone. So if you may be trying to mix your skin tones with oranges, guys, that's great. Keep going, keep going. You might even want to start with a white, just with a few drops of white, and just slowly add the orange in. That's probably a more efficient way to do it. But yeah, so the Facebook ads are working great, and only because of you guys. So everybody who's left me reviews, thank you so much. I haven't checked to see if we've gotten more reviews on the other books yet. But yeah, all the reviews you leave, like, it makes such a huge difference, especially book 1. Because book 1 is where people get in, right? And then once they know the writing and they've met the characters and they know it's a good book, then, like, the reason reviews drop off on subsequent books in a series is just because people know it's not as important. That said, I still want to get to 10 on Rite of Winter, otherwise, because that's almost like a new start. Because I finished the first 2 books, and then that's a new start. So Rite of Winter really needs its 10 reviews. But yeah, otherwise, thank you all. You are my success. You are the reason for it. More than you knew, maybe, but it really matters. It really, really matters. And it'll be another threshold when we hit 50. When we hit 50 reviews on East of the Sun, that'll be huge. Like, then I can start, like, applying for BookBub ads. And that's huge. Like, BookBub ads get you thousands of downloads on a sale book. So, okay. Oh, we got another review on East of the Sun. Yay! Hey, and we got another review on West of the Moon, too. That's awesome. Great. All right, so that's about the drop-off you see, though. Like, you usually they say that book 2 has about half the reviews of book 1, book 3, half the reviews of book 2. That's great. But we'll hopefully, with all of these books that I am selling this month, this is an investment. This is the long game. But hopefully with all of these books, people will read them and leave reviews. And buy the other books and leave reviews. Where is my Osirian Sand? Dang it. Here it is. But yeah, like, you guys are the awesome that is keeping me going here. Like, you gave me this start. Like, and now that I have the start, I have the tools to push it into something beyond, right? But because of you guys leaving all those reviews, I think I used a little bit of yellow as well. Where's my yellow? There it is. Here, let me get it here. But yeah, it's all you guys. It's all you guys. I'm going to use a tiny... when I really want to use a tiny bit of yellow, I'll just sometimes put an extra drop in the cap. And then I'll transfer it. Oh, there we go. Yes, if the lurkers are afraid to ask, you can find my books on my author site. It is up to date. And it also has teasers for the next couple books in there. There we go. So just a little bit of yellow and a little bit more Osirian. But yeah, every review matters so much. It's so cool. I'm going to use extra water there. Okay, and mix that up. There we go. Great. So that's very close to Bright Skin and Bright Skin Highlight. I went a little farther on that, but that's all right. These are the colors I want. And I didn't mix up the Bright Skin Shadow, although I probably should. Because I'm going to probably need that on mushrooms and stuff, but we'll see. I'm just going to put a couple drops of magma into that. And then pop this in and just stir it up. Wow, that didn't change it much at all. Magma Red did not overpower that like I thought it would. Looks like I'm making a separate well. But yeah, so things are going great. It makes me excited because essentially when my books are selling like this, like I'm selling between 4 and 6 copies a day right now, which is big. It's like good. When my books are selling like this, I'm super motivated to write, right? Although this will probably slow down a bit once the sale is over because sale price. But now I have a strategy. Kiki, haha. Quindy, take your allergy pill. Ugh. It's fall. All right, so we're just going to use these orange and the bright skin tone and the other tone. To highlight these ears a little bit more and get them away from that pink. I don't mind the pink. I just feel like it's a little bit, I've lost some of the fleshy feel to it, and I want a little bit more of that back. Hey there, Laura. You totally missed all of my great to-do and thank yous for reading and leaving reviews on my books. Because they're doing very well right now. And without you guys, it would not be a thing. Without those reviews that you guys left, I would not be selling this many books right now. So, all happy. Where's my... Gosh darn it, my glasses have walked off. I probably brought them... Hold on. Let's fetch them from another room. I probably totally walked off with them after the Saturday stream and no idea where I'll find them next. But yeah, so this is interesting. Now, the thing is, will I be able to make it profitable? That's the question. Probably for the first, just in case you guys are interested, for the first couple months, I'm going to be running these ads at a slight loss. And how much of a loss will just depend. And I really don't know. This is a brave new world for me, so... Alright, so we're going to essentially glaze this this skin color, this bright skin, the orangey tone, over the tops of the ears so that I can bring this part up more fleshy. You can see already how I'm getting a little bit more of a transition here. But yeah, so the idea with Facebook ads, with any ads actually, except for Amazon ads, which are kind of more direct, but the idea is that you stimulate sales to the point where Amazon begins showing people your book because it's selling well, right? So when you're doing that with Facebook ads, it's a little more successful, and outside things is a little more successful at getting Amazon to do that, because obviously if Amazon ads are what's selling it, Amazon's just going to show more ads to take more of your money. So the hope is that we get the book selling consistently enough that Amazon notices, hey, this book is selling, and then it starts showing people the book for free. And I'm probably going to scale back my Amazon ads down to the bare minimums at this point. The interesting thing also is the demographics information that Facebook gives you. Like, it'll tell you if men or women are buying your book. It'll tell you, it'll break it down by age group too. So it's very, very cool. Although you take it with a grain of salt because Facebook, you know, the audience tends to be over 30. So we've gotten that nice fleshy color back, and the difference here, not so different from the front, but at least I feel like it's not all pink all the time up there. So that's good. We'll do the same on the other. This is a subtle change, but I really wanted it, so that's why. And this side is actually a little bit better, but I still wanna make it a little bit more fleshy toward the top, a little less pink. But yeah, so I'm excited. I've got my writer coaching today. It was actually Coach Terry who convinced me to try this in the first place, so I'll be giving him a report card, and I'm sure he'll be pleased. He's a great coach. He's super positive. Positivity is one of his strengths. He's full of you can do it attitude. Do a little bit more of that extra highlight on the edge. And then we'll move on to mushrooms. Yeah, there we go. Happy little bat. So happy. So happy because he's got a sugar high. All right, I need some liner because I need to separate the mushrooms from the pumpkin. And I need to mix up mushroom colors. So let's use Magma Red. And I'm going to mix it a couple ways. I'm going to mix that kind of washed out red color that I have there. And I'm mixing also a shadow for that. And we're going to use ruddy leather. We're going to use brown, but a reddish brown. Could also use oxide brown, but then it won't go as dark as I might want it to. Let's use 1 drop and see. I almost just blooped 2 drops in there. And I'm probably going to want 2 drops, but let's get this palette down here where you guys can see it. Bloop. There. Oh yeah, that hit it hard. Boom. So that's actually a very nice, kind of a brick red. That's a good shadow. We'll keep that. Yeah, so I didn't need that extra drop at all. And then we'll mix our slightly off washed out red. And we're washing it out just a little bit again so it doesn't pull attention away from the bat. If we leave it full strength, it's super saturated. Saturated colors draw the eye a lot, so that's pretty good. Maybe 1 more drop of magma. Boop. Yeah, that's good. We'll drop a water in there. It looks brighter on camera than it is in person, which tends to happen with this camera. It loves its reds. I've tried to adjust it, but then if I adjust it too far, like the other way, it seems everything else is out of whack. So I'd rather have everything else looking correct and just mention that the reds are brighter than they look. It's much more like you see it there. See how the color seems to be different? So it's much more like this color than it is that. The camera just loves red too much. And we will get a little bit of white in there and see if we can wash out that color a bit for a highlight. That's probably a bit much. I mean, I want it to be different, but that's a little bit too different, so. That's closer. And that's more like our skin shadow. So that's the triad we're looking at then for the mushroom caps. Let's find an actual picture. All right, so the fly agaric mushroom, of course, is what we're looking at. So we're doing a more muted version. Now keep this in mind, guys, when you are using photographs from nature or examples from nature in your model, you are within your rights to shift that color any way you want. If we wanted that color to go dark red, we could. If we wanted it to go, as we're doing it, a light red, we can, right? If you wanted to do more of a purple red, you could. Like, it's an artistic license. That's what artistic license means. And as long as you are close enough, in other words, it is a reddish color with white spots and a lighter stem, you will be fine. it will look like the thing that you are hoping to evoke. So you don't have to stick exactly to the colors you see when you're working from nature. So in this case, we're washing it out because our color scheme is more muted. And I'm going to go like driftwood and highlight up with Osirian sand and white as far as the stems go. Hey there, Lucitios. Welcome. We are painting a Batling. The Batling is mostly painted. I think actually the Batling is pretty much done. Yeah, the Batling himself, except for the little claws on his wings, and we'll do that when we do the mushroom stems because I'm going to use the same colors. So then we need to do the back of the pumpkin and the toad. We have, I think we've got all of this week left to get the, I think it'll take the rest of this week to get everything else finished. Which will actually, it's pretty good, right? I wanted to paint this all during the month of October. It'll get us most of the way through October. And that, like I said, at the end, I think we're just going to concentrate on Sophie, the druid Sophie, and try to get her as far as we can by painting her every day. Because I would like to move on to something different. Because we've got so many great models that I got from ReaperCon, including bigger ones, so... Or did I get... I think I have a bigger one. That's right, I have the bust. The Gnome King bust. So we have a lot of stuff from ReaperCon that I would love to paint on the stream, and I'd like to get on that. Alright, so... Just going to take this red and make it a little more solid. Oh, I need a brown liner. That's right, I need to line. Need a shader. Need a shader color that's darker than my shadow. Where are you, brown liner? It's hiding. It really is hiding. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Oh, noes! It's been pushed into the background. Yeah. It got itself shoved out of the way. I don't know how everything got kind of swapped around out here, but it totally did. Wow, and I've got like 2 bottles of almost empty brown liner here. I thought I had a full bottle, but I may have pulled that into the other room. Obviously, I need to order more brown liner. Hey there, Daffodweir. So we'll get this brown liner out here. And 1 drop of water in that. So it's about a 5-to-1. 5-to-1, 6-to-1. Remember, I want to keep it... except that I just slurped too much water in it, because apparently my water bottle is very annoying right now. Yeah. Well, now it's going to be a little thinner. I'm going to have to add more. But we want to keep our liner color. Now it's a shadow, and it's not a liner. That blurfed too much water in that color. I hate it when that happens. Now I have to mix up a new one. Actually, you know what? I'm so angry at that puddle. I'm just going to soak it all up with a Kleenex and start anew. So angry. My bottle of Flow Improver / water mix does tend to have hiccups from time to time. Alright, let's try that again. This time without giant blobs of water flying into my paint. Okay, much better. So yeah, because he's cartoony and we've been doing a lot of you know, to keep him that kind of cartoon effect, we want to keep our liner darker. You can use black liner for a very cartoony figure as well, if you're consistently lining with black. You're ready. Now we're ready. I wanted to line between these two things. How's it going, Daffodweir? I'm having a good day. I think it's going to be a good week. There's nothing that I like more than learning a new exciting thing that can help everything else I do. And the other thing I did is I ordered some new shoe inserts. I'm probably going to be like in pain about them, but there's a line of shoe inserts out there that's made actually for people like nurses and those who are on their feet all day. But essentially, it retrains your feet to strengthen them because most of us, especially those with orthotics, our feet are all screwed up. And the orthotics will only make them weaker as they depend on it. And that was my worry with using orthotics. So these inserts are made, they're also made if you're wanting to adapt to go to more of a zero drop shoe and things like that. They're supposed to train your feet. They're actually like doctor endorsed, and they're Canadian, but they've been used successfully to do that. So the downside is that as your feet get stronger, they're going to hurt. It is not a pain-free tactic. And this actually, I wish I had known this because I started using barefoot shoes a while ago, like a couple years ago. I think it was right after we got this house. I started walking just with those. And the problem is I got foot pain at night. And I thought it was a problem rather than a feature, so I stopped using the shoes. But it turns out that that's because your feet are getting stronger. And so there's lots of like neurons firing and soreness that go with that, with your feet restructuring. So now that I know that, I can go into this. And the reason I'm doing this at all is because I think that all of my problems, my knee problems, my back problems, I think it all stems from actually my feet. And the fact that my stride has always been off, and that was, led to other problems, which led to other problems. Your feet are like your foundation, right? So anyway, I'm going to be the guinea pig. I'm going to try these things out and see if they help. Because since my knee has been, since I've been working on my knee rehabilitation, I'm like, if I can't run, I may as well try this too and just like rehab everything. It should help with my knee pain. Should. Alright, so I've got this dark color. I really actually love this dark reddish brown color. And we're just going to use that to get that, because these mushrooms, this mushroom has a bulge on the top. So we're going to shade in there. We're also going to use it around the edges. Let's just block it in and then blend it. I have thinned it, so. And putting that reddish brown in there is going to help to desaturate it so that we won't, although it's reading really red, but it's actually much more brown than that, folks. Sometimes I hate the fact that my monitor like over accentuates red. But yeah, this thing that you're seeing as a really bright red is actually a brown red. I wonder if it'll read better if I back out. Not really. Arrgh. Silly camera. Anyway. I'll have to take photos of it and put it up on the Patreon so you guys can see what it actually looks like. I'm going to pull that brown in around the edges. So this big mushroom is kind of our proof of concept. We're going to check out, get our colors sorted, and then see if we have to adjust anything before we paint all these other little mushrooms. I'm going to use my brown liner to, there's a nick sculpted in that mushroom. Let's get up closer again. Well, now you can see it. All right, so now it's not like over redding. You can see that that's a little bit more brown than it looked. So we're getting a brown liner in that little nick. So notice when I do that, just that round thing, it's the opposite of blend. You can see very evidently that that line, right? Whereas if you always use a brush stroke that goes across, if you look at the shape that you're trying to shade, and instead of going in line with it, you go across it, then you get much better blending. My second YouTube video will be up on the Patreon today, the second NMM video for the month. I was going to wait on it, then I thought, no, I don't want to put out the PDF for it before the actual video comes out on the Patreon. So I'm going to put that out. And then we'll get the PDF to you in a couple days. Wednesday is David and I's 3rd year wedding anniversary. Doesn't feel like it's been 3 years. I'm going to paint a little bit of this median color across the line of the shading I did also to blend it in. Yup. 3 years. A little bit extra highlight there at the top, just for fun. Thank you, everybody. And then I'm gonna get my driftwood brown and my let's do driftwood and creamy ivory. I think they're pretty much like very synergistic colors for natural browns. So we'll start with driftwood, and then we'll highlight with creamy ivory, and we'll highlight with pure white if we feel like we can get away with it without distracting from Mr. Bat. And we'll block in these mushroomy stems. Gonna add 1 drop of water, but driftwood doesn't have great coverage. So we'll expect to do a couple of coats, especially over black primer. White primer, there's not so much difficulty, but black can be problematic for lighter colors that don't have the greatest coverage. It's not too bad, actually. Not as bad as I feared. This is the little mushroom person hanging out here. And I didn't paint the tops of those little mushrooms, so we'll get those in a bit. I think in the shadow here I'm going to mix in a little bit of my brown liner to my driftwood. I'm just going to highlight with that since it's on the underside. go. Which leaves me room to use the driftwood to do some highlights on the underside of that. And to use that color as a shadow in general back here. There we are. And once again, we'll paint this this big mushroom. We'll finish him out, and then we'll have essentially our prototype for how we're going to tackle all the little mushrooms. Hey, Roger. Let that dry. While we let that dry, I'm just gonna block in these other guys. And we'll get that mix up here for the underside of the little caps. And that can also be just a good shadow for that driftwood brown. And we'll line also. I put out a Patreon thing about that, gosh, probably over a year ago. Essentially starting sets, travel sets actually. And a travel set is the same as an essential set. But in general, Aspire, I find that such things tend to be very individual between painters. Like your basics, like brown liner, I usually would do brown liner, blue liner. I usually wouldn't bring a black unless I was planning on doing something like comic book style. I would just use the liners. Pure white, obviously. An off-white, either Osirian or creamy ivory. Walnut brown, russet brown, ruddy leather. And you can pretty much mix a lot from that. Maybe rich leather because it's my golden brown. It's the raw sienna. And I use that color a lot to mix other stuff. And other than that, just like the clears for me, right? Or something equivalent. Like I might decide that these days I tend to like using cyan blue for a blue primary. And then maybe I'll bring ultramarine shadow along if I want a different, colder, darker blue. But it's very individual. And on the Patreon, if you look up the Patreon one, Aspire, the benefit of that is that in that PDF I give you 3 different sets. I think I stuck to about 20 colors. Because for me, that's about what I bring. Is a bag full of about 20 to 24 hues, depending. And the other 4 are usually specific to the project I'm working on. So I give 3 different sets, and essentially those are geared toward, like, one of them is if you are comfortable mixing from clears, right? Which a lot of people aren't, so the other 2 sets are different. So, like, the browns I just gave you are what I consider absolute essentials, and then from there, either clears or something equivalent. And then plan on bringing, like, 4 to 5 colors that might be specific for the model you're working on. Like, if you're using a specific teal, if you're using a specific green, if you're using a specific red, then you also bring those, right? But from there, you can use the other stuff to mix from anywhere. So So that's the kind of the problem, quote unquote. I don't think it's like necessarily actually is a problem, but the issue with my set is that a lot of you guys won't be comfortable just bringing that, right? But my browns, the list of browns and neutrals I listed stands. Oh, and cloudy gray and carbon gray, I think. These days I like to add carbon gray to cloudy for steel NMM, so I would bring that. But yeah, but the list I just gave you is pretty much. I'm going to do a secondary coat on the front here where we need it. Walnut brown is a good sub for black. And most of the time, that's how I'm going to use it. Or for when I need a ground for very dark leather that I still want to be brown, I'll use walnut. There we go, nice and solid. But yeah, these days, honestly, most of the time I'm working one step down from clears. Like, I know that I'm not going to want a hypersaturated color on a piece. Like, if I'm not painting something that I know needs to be hypersaturated, I might go a step down and use probably the secondary list that I gave on the Patreon, which is stuff like using the cyan blue instead of clear blue, using, say, wilderness green instead of clear green, although it's quite muted, so it depends, right? I might use Naga if I want something brighter. So it's all very dependent when you get outside the neutrals. Like the neutrals, the earth tones, the browns, I think there are obvious choices, and they're based pretty much on resemblances to artist colors. So I'm just going to line the mouth here. It's hard to get to this side of it. If I blurf it a little bit, that's okay, though. I can touch it up. I want to line the eyes, too. Yeah, and then Kuro has a good point also, is that if there's a color that you just reach for a lot because you really love it and you love working it into your pieces, then you bring that as well. For me, that's going to be Orchid Purple. My bottle is actually in the bag that came back from ReaperCon. Like, I love Orchid, and I love to work with it. And the other thing is, especially if it's a color that's hard to mix. Like, nailing rich indigo every time if you were trying to just mix it would be difficult, because it's like a really fine balance point between the blue and the purple. And the Orchid Purple has a lot of pigment in it, a lot of different pigments in it. And even has some yellow in it, and that makes it harder to hit when you're trying to mix it. Whereas some colors are very easy to mix. Volcanic orange is pretty much, an orange with a little bit of red oxide, maybe a tiny touch of brown oxide in it. It's not that hard to hit. Or at least to hit something close enough. So yeah, it all depends. But I hope you see how it really does like depend on the project and on you and like what your preferred palette tends to be, right? Like some people want to work hypersaturated. Luca loves to use a lot of punch and pop and saturation and high contrast. Um, I tend to like to work just a touch down from that in the more what I would call a more realism um, toned palette. Even when I'm doing cartoony models like this one, we're just going to take our driftwood and we're going to paint in these little struts here under the mushroom. And what I find, I think, with people who ask that question, is you're not really asking for a set to buy for yourself. You're just looking to see if there are colors that you're missing, quote unquote, from your own set that I use. But in reality, you know, whether anything is missing from your set, like, it doesn't matter what I say. If it's a color you're never going to use, then it doesn't do you any good. I do think, if I recall, quite a long time ago, I did do like highest coverage, like best coverage colors in each for each, like red, orange, yellow, green, like some of the best coverage colors for each color in Master Series. Which usually, if you're like your average painter, that's what I'm going to recommend to you if you don't make like a stipulation as far as saturation and stuff. Because you can get the higher coverage colors like Wilderness, they're still fairly saturated. They're just not like super hyper saturated. They're definitely blends. Okay, so just a little bit of texture on the underside of Mr. Mushroom. And again, because the coverage isn't great, sometimes I have to go over it a couple times. What a standout color to me might not be to you. So is there a particular hue that you're looking to introduce? I can't decide if that's a mold line or if that's a... There's a line here that's annoying me. Like, I think that Lantern Yellow is a standout yellow. But if you don't use yellow, then maybe you won't think so, right? So it's really like, is there a color you feel like is lacking, right? Or that you're specifically looking for? Like if you're looking for a recommendation on blues, I'd say Cyan and Ultramarine Shadow, for example. But I can't just spool off like everything off the top of my head. Like I need some guidance here, Aspire. You need to ask specific questions. I gave you my browns. Yeah, I just need to get that off. I didn't like the way that line stood up above everything. I don't know if it was intentional or not. Okay, nobody has that. Okay, so let's talk paint chemistry. Everybody cheers. Alright, so there are some pigments that, no matter how high density you try to make them, are never going to have absolute coverage. The only way you get a high coverage saturated orange is with a cadmium, which of course is toxic. So that's why they used it though in the olden days. So if you really need a super intense high coverage orange, then pick up an actual cadmium orange from an artist company. See if you can find one in a liquid acrylic. I don't know if anybody's got one, but you could look. Yeah, but there's a very good reason for that. The pigments... Alright. I don't know if you've ever been here when I've talked about pigment grinds. So here's the deal. The pigments we know are the way they are. They have the coverage that they have because for each color, it's not just a particular chemical formula that makes that pigment. It's also the time and type of grinding you do. So, right. So you should be fine. You've got cadmium oranges. But, okay, so here's the dealio. So, for example, I like to use Naphthol Red as an example, because it's a classic red that is appearing in many artist lines, and equivalents for it appear in many miniatures lines. To get Naphthol Red, you have to grind that red pigment a certain number of hours on coarse and a certain number of hours on fine. And only when you finish that cycle does the color bloom to its full intensity. So, but by doing that, by having to grind it a certain number of hours on fine, you have affected its coverage. Because the smaller the particle size, the less the coverage, essentially. So the finer the grind, the lower the coverage. And that's just plain common sense, right? Because at the particulate level, when light is trying to pass through, it's going to pass through more easily with a smaller particle, right? So, whereas bigger, more plastic particles block the light more efficiently. And this is true of bases, and it's true of pigments. So, the oranges and yellows that we currently work with, that people have discovered so far, are, other than cadmium, are pigments that have to be ground quite fine in order to achieve the intensity of color that makes that color what it is. So it's a pure physical limitation. It's not something you can chemically get around. It's not something you can magically fix. You can use what the high density, workarounds do now, which is essentially making the particles stick together to mimic the effects of having a bigger particle size. But there are limits as to how much that will work and count without turning the paint into sludge. So you're also physically limited there as far as chemically. So that's why it is currently impossible, if you are not using cadmium, which has a much larger pigment grind, to get an orange that covers. Absolutely. Can you get a decent coverage orange? Sure. Volcanic Orange is one of them from Master Series. It is a tiny bit muted, however, in order to gain that coverage, because I have to use oxides to do it. Oxides have a bigger grind size, so they also cover much better. In fact, red oxide and brown oxide are the best covering pigments outside of titanium white. There. You have now learned something. Go forth and utilize it. But that's why, if you want absolute coverage, though I'm puzzled as to why you need absolute coverage with a very, very bright orange, because I personally would never use it for base coating. But everybody's style is different, so... Yeah. Exactly, Quindy. But yeah, paint chemistry isn't rocket science. It's actually a surprising amount of common sense. And once you know those pieces to plug in, you will understand why things are as they are. And could somebody discover tomorrow an equivalent, like, for that cadmium yellow that somehow has, like, really good coverage? Yeah, and it would be heck of expensive, so miniatures paint companies still wouldn't use it. When people discover new pigments, everybody gets excited, except that unless those pigments are able to be manufactured, like, cheaply, they're going to be way too expensive for the average hobby paint line. Which is why you sometimes have to go to boutique artist paint lines to find that stuff. Although Chimera has done a good job of pulling out some of those interesting browns and reds. Mostly some interesting browns out of that. Actually, the Scale Color line is the one that has the Queenie Credone red, which I love. But yeah, so every paint you're looking at then in a hobby paint line, other than Chimera, and even Chimera has blends now because they have to keep putting out paint. Apparently, they feel like it. Um, every one you run into is going to be a blend of pigments, right? So, and nobody wants to use cadmium because everybody knows that kids are in this hobby. So that's why I say you usually have to go to artist companies, actual art companies. You're having your first iron brew at room temp. I had my first one yesterday. It's interesting. David, true to prediction, took one taste and went, "This is terrible." And then I took the can away from him. Yeah, I mean you can, but if you're looking, intensity is different, right? You can get high intensity, you just won't have coverage. But the fix to that is to put a white undercoat under it. Like that's what I do, right? When I want a brighter, more intense color, I like we did on the candy corn. I just put a white undercoat under it. Yes, David will have to be banned from Scotland. I know. It's a good thing Google only sends him to Ireland. I'll tell him he can't go to Scotland ever again. Yeah, you're talking about something completely different though, Turgeon. So perceived saturation is very different from coverage. It's a totally different animal. Because, yeah, you can put the complement next to a color and it'll make it look more intense, right? You can underpaint in white and you'll get that intensity and it'll look like it has coverage because you underpainted in white. Oh no, explosion. But yeah, so, making a color look more intense won't help with coverage, Turgeon. But underpainting with white will do both. Will make it look more intense and help with coverage. But yeah, there are plenty of ways to make a color look more intense, more saturated. But the way I understood Aspire, they were not just looking for intensity, they were looking for intensity plus coverage. Aw. You will not be able to tell if you're in camp David. I'm in interesting. I'm assuming this is an acquired taste. Because it was interesting. It was unlike, I'll tell you this, it was unlike anything I've ever tasted. It was extremely unique. I have to have another one to figure it out. So I'm underpainting the white spots in the... Right. Yes, just like you see here. Yeah, so the fix to that is just to do one coat of thinned white under the areas you're painting orange Aspire. Because then, if you do that, then you can use things like Cavalier Orange from Pathfinder, which is a lovely, lovely intense orange. It is, in fact... I'm off camera. I nudged my camera too much. It's the orange that I was using on Lava Dragon. It's this orange up top here. It goes over black a little bit over there, but this lovely intense orange. When you add white to it, it tends to go more yellow. But yeah, so like this guy this is all white prime, like you can tell. When I'm painting orange, I don't black prime because I can always black and walnut are going to cover so much better over the white primer than orange will over the black that I see. Like, I just don't use the black primer if I'm going to make something orange because I just get far more intense colors over the white. And it's no fight to put the darker colors over the white because they cover much better. Yeah, exactly, Kodiak. Yep. Yeah, Lava Dragon is come along. He's coming along. We're still refining how I want his face to look, and we need to try out a different color of glowy eye over on this side. But he's coming along. He's getting there. He's at least all base coated now, except for his base. But yeah, everything was white. I did Bat in Zenith, and so, but I did Bat in Zenith because I wanted this weird, desaturated, darkened shadow, right? That's the reason I Zenith primed this, is because I wanted that shadow on the orange on the jack-o'-lantern. Now, I could have just painted that in. Kiki, no. That's enough. Yeah, good girl, come here. I could have just painted that in. I could have hand shaded it, but I do like the shortcut of having the Zenith to remind me where my shadows go sometimes. Iron Brew, a High School Music parody. Oh, that's hilarious. Hi there, Keeks. What's up? There are no axe murderers, Keekers. There are no axe murderers. Your head is so soft. I could just pet it forever. I could pet it forever. Oh, I could. But I'm not gonna. Nope. Work, work. We only have like 20 minutes left, Bubba. Maybe 25. We're good. Yeah, I have to paint the rest of these mushroom stems and highlight this little dude. So I should do the caps because I have all these colors mixed up, and I haven't mixed up nearly as many colors for the mushroom stems. So let's just get these guys. Likewise, I'm painting this color, which is not super high coverage, over the top of what's essentially a black primer misted with white. Because I want it to go a little more muted, since it's down here on the bottom of the figure. But yeah, I hope that makes sense, Aspire, all that about, you know, like there definitely are better undercoat colors for different colors. If the more transparent you get, the better white is going to serve you, but you can always take a coat of thinned white and just put it down first. I mean, if you think about it, you're going to be doing more than one coat with orange over black anyway, so why not have one of those coats be white? And then you only have to put one other coat down instead of like 5. But yeah, if you want true coverage, it's got to be it's still got to be the cadmiums. Which, you know, if you don't have kids around and you're comfortable with using the cadmiums, if you're as long as you're not a brush licker, stuff like that. Do not brush lick if you're using cadmiums, please. But yeah, I mean, cadmium's still going to give you the best coverage. But if you don't want to use toxic paint, and or you have kids around, and or you are a brush licker, then doing the one undercoat of white before you do the orange is probably a good trick. I have to get Kiki out on her walk fast today because I have a coaching session, my writing coaching session coming up. Yeah, good. Very nice, Aspire. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you've got no reason not to use cadmium. Except that they're probably going to be more expensive than the new, synthetic, By the way, the cadmium hue colors are just using high density pigments like we are. So they're getting the most coverage they can get out of it by using a high density pigment. But it's not actual cadmium, right? That's its selling point. But it's also not quite as good. It's as close as they can get. But yeah, I find that I like to go do a little bit off with my oranges anyway. Like, I like burnt oranges and stuff. I only do the bright oranges on stuff like Lava Dragon. And again, if I'm going to do it, then I just do the white. I don't want to use cadmium paint, so. I'm not a brush slicker, but I like to be able to recommend the colors that I'm using on the interwebs and in my Patreon, and plenty of people on my Patreon and streams and YouTube have kids. So I want to be able to give them a non-toxic variable, but that is me, and you will not have the same motivators. That, and I kind of nurse a grudge versus the cadmiums, because like when I was in art school, nobody ever told us how dangerous some of this stuff was. They also had us in closed classrooms breathing turpentine fumes, so go figure. You know, closed classrooms in the dead of winter with God knows, you know, how little or how terrible the ventilation was working with turpentine. And also using pastels without mentioning that breathing them in can be toxic. Like, seriously. Art school, guys, art school in the early 90s. Not for the faint of heart. Yeah. That's true. Pets. Though Kiki doesn't really get any of my art stuff, but cats can drink paint water, so. And often try to. So again, I'm going to combat this with a stroke that's against the grain. Yeah, Mummy Brown was laid to rest. See what I did there? A long time ago. That's why I like the non-mummy Mummy Brown that Chimera puts out. It's so wonderful. Yeah, I really need to use it more. I need to like snag that thing and paint a model with it. One painter, I forget which pre-Raphaelite painter it was, but he actually gave his Mummy Brown like a formal burial. Like he grabbed the tube and gave it a burial in his backyard. I was going to print my Fairy Dragon bust, but I ended up not doing it over the weekend because I was going to do it over the weekend because David could help. But then he was just totally immersed in Diablo because I'm a Diablo widow right now, and I just decided that I was going to do everything myself, and so instead I'm just going to watch videos like slowly throughout the week to learn how to do it all myself. Then I don't have to wait for the weekend. I can just do it during the week. He started his second character just like I knew he would. Why he thinks he doesn't start a second character every kid like thing. The new one is good. The new The expansion is good so far. It's a good story. I'm finally playing the story. I ignored it for my first 30 levels. Mostly I just wanted to get, like, understand my character better before I started doing all that. There we go. Alright, there we are. Need to get these guys situated. I was playing in the evenings, but then I got Diablo'd out last night and I did other stuff instead. I'm looking forward to NaNoWriMo. I'm going to start... I always like to have an outline before I head into Nano, at least bullet points, so that I know where I am and can... If I get stuck, I can see where I'm supposed to be and try to write toward it. I'm looking forward to making a real run at Nano this year, because it's great. I've got, like, I love having these 3 months off, guys, with no travel, no disruption. It's so nice. Can actually settle in and just, like, get in my rhythm again. I guess that's a reward for doing all the travel and family stuff earlier in the year, is I can just relax in the fall. Maybe that's just how my years are going to go. I definitely am going to cut back on travel a bit more, though. I'm not going to say yes to as many things. I'm skipping Adepticon. I'm probably skipping the National Dog Show next year, although I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll fly out, but just for a couple days. Certainly not going to make it the 8-day extravaganza it was this time. You can always just make the attempt. I mean, what's the worst that happens if you don't write 50,000 words? You get 20. It's still 20,000 words. You can also customize your goal if you feel, although I always like to shoot for the 50. Like I said, if I only get 15 or 20, that's still 15 or 20,000 words on my book that I got done. So it's not a downside to me to quote unquote lose. I still get a lot done. And it's going to make me push to write on days when otherwise I might get distracted or find something else, right? So yeah, I never think it's a bad goal to try, because usually for the first week at least I'm really on it, and that'll get you, 10,000 words, which is a heck of a lot better than like the 2,500 I might have gotten otherwise. Or 3,500 or whatever. So I'm going to shade with my brown all the way under the cap here. So yeah, I'd say go for it. You can modify the goal, or you can like keep the goal but then expect, oh, I might not hit it, and that's okay. I mean, I think I've succeeded about like 40% of the nanos I've tried, but I've always gotten words done and I've never regretted it. No, yeah. That's fair, Quindy. I like using it to get like a boost on the novel I'm working on, whatever novel I'm working on at the time. It's my writing season. I really love it. It's the month that justifies me looking at David and saying no because it's Nano. and and like saying I'm going to do Nano tonight instead of, I need to write tonight because it's Nano, right? I'm not going to go and play Diablo because it's Nano. Excellent. So one other thing I can do, and I'll see, I probably should do a shading around these guys. I probably wouldn't use the straight up brown liner. I'd use actually the mix of driftwood and brown liner. And I probably should have done that before I painted them. So I'll take that actually and do it down here on these little guys. If you do the shadow around it first, it's easier. Then you just put a dot on top of that. And there's actually not as many spots sculpted here as there are on the big one, so I'm going to actually just paint a couple on. To break it up. But yeah, Nano is the month I can unabashedly put my writing in front of everything else I do. I still have to finish the Patreon stuff that I committed to, but I don't have to push to do anything extra, and I can pretty much like trash all my other things that I do. Like pretty much kick them to the curb because it's Nano. And I've actually found that on Novembers where I am, that I do have like stuff going on that I still have to prioritize, I'm actually more productive than if I didn't have those things. It's like having other things in my life gives me a structure that I need to be more productive. But it depends. Everybody's unique, and I know like people, if like you are if you depend on having a very stable environment and you're looking at, a lot of drama or emotion in the month, then you might not be able to do it, right? There's definitely plenty of reasons why not. But as I said, as you say, just at least trying to write more is always a good goal. I just find Nano gives me the strength to say no to some things that I really can say no to, but sometimes wouldn't. So yeah. Wow, that little one did not take. Nope. 1,667 words per day. 30 days in the month of November. 50,000 divided by 30 is 1,667. Which for me, I usually can't do that all in one hit unless it's a weekend day and I give it all morning. And often I don't want to do it all in one hit. I like to think about it between sessions. So I'll usually do a couple hundred words before stream in the morning, like before breakfast or right after breakfast before stream if I have time. And then I'll do a segment in the afternoon, which is my usual writing time, when I'll usually get about between 800 and 1,200 words then. And then I'll have to make up whatever's left in the evening hours after supper. And that's really the way that I can do Nano. So I have to shoehorn it in. Oh, no problem, Kodiak. Yeah, and it's like, it's counterproductive too, because you'd think that the busier your life, the less you would be able to do things like write novels on the side, but in reality, a lot of people, including the founder of NaNoWriMo, found that writing works best when shoehorned into an otherwise busy life. But you have to, it forces you to prioritize it, right? It forces you to say no to other things. For me, it really has grown into a guilt-free excuse over the years, where I'm very much sorry it's NaNoWriMo and I've committed to writing a book. And now that I'm actually published, it's so much easier because it's just like, I'm writing this month and that's it. Like, you can say what you want, but I'm actually, like, earning money writing, so yeah. I call it my part-time job now. The Patreon is my full-time job, and this stream is one of my part-time jobs, and then writing is my other part-time job. And my own Twitch stream is my other part-time job. Welcome to freelancing, folks. There we go. So we got our spots in, so we can finish those out. I'm pretty happy with the reds. And we'll give Mushroom Guy's face the treatment next time, and we'll finish out the other bits of mushroomage, and then we'll probably paint the toad. I'll have to look for a good toad. Oh, and I forgot to do his little winglets, but I can do those too. I'm going to leave them white so I can get reminded, but we'll do them the same color as the stems. Yeah, it's taken a lot of work, hasn't it, Michael? You were more watching it than anybody else. You guys at Paint Club and anybody at Reaper. So yeah, it's taken a long time, but now it's working. Now it's working. And again, thank you everybody. I know a lot of people missed the start of the stream, but without you guys and leaving reviews, without you leaving reviews for my books, I would not be here today. Like, I would not be even close to where I am in my writing right now. So I do a huge like a burden of gratitude to you guys, because without those reviews, nobody would buy my book. So it's just the way it is. It wouldn't matter how good the book is. So thank you so much for leaving reviews. Thank you for everybody who intends to leave a review and just hasn't finished reading yet. We still need more reviews on East of the Sun. We need 16 more to hit 50. Yeah, it's modest success so far. Like, books sold is great. Like, but I'm still under as far as like I'm trying to break even. I'm not there yet. Although I did finally make enough money, not counting like all the money I've spent, but I made enough money to cover the cost of book one, which was $1,850. So I've actually pulled in that much money on my books over the last year and a half. Now, I've also like spent money to promote the books and for advertising, but not counting that, and we're hoping to like catch up to that eventually, right? Yes, it helps you get more books because it helps me sell more books, which makes me happy and makes me want to write. Like right now, I'm running Facebook ads for the first time, and my books are selling. Like, and it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling to be selling like 4, 5, 6 books a day. So, yeah, so it's good. But without those reviews, people wouldn't be picking up those books, no matter how cheap I made them. So, it's totally you guys. I owe you guys. Big time. So thank you everybody who left a review. And we're still trying to hit 10 on Rite of Winter. So, just saying. Remember, you don't have to write a review. You just leave stars. It's okay. All right, I'm done. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you're enjoying Batty. He's coming along really well. I like him a lot. We'll probably make the toad green so that we can repeat that green around the model a little bit more because we don't have a lot of it on the front. And I'll probably also repeat it. And this is where basing comes in, guys. But I'll probably use like some grass tufts just around the edge here. And I'll dry brush them with colors that are similar to Toady and the leaves. And that will give us like a kind of a green triad down there on the bottom. Okay? Rhonda will be on. Awesome. Fantastic, everybody. Enjoy it. keep Rhonda company, and I'm going to go take the Keeks for a walk. Thank you all so much, and have a great day, and thank you, Quindy, as always, for modding for us. We appreciate you. All right? Everybody, bye, and I will see you tomorrow. Adios, everyone.